this is Tori, curator of Dinner with Friends. I think tonight is going to be amazing. I invited a couple people that I'm really excited to see at that table. My man Coach K, who's a longtime friend of mine. He's somebody who gets it, man. He's really progressive. He started off managing Young Jeezy, then Gucci Mane. Now he just did a big deal with Leo Cohen for the Migos and QC Records. So I'm excited to see what he has to say, man. He's definitely somebody who understands the creative space. So this guy has a lot of energy, has some good ideas, and I just can't wait for him to sit down at the table and chop it up with everybody. We're just here to break bread. It's Dinner with Friends.
Tonight I invited out DJ Speakerfoxxx because she's one of the most influential DJs in the world. And she's leading the way for women in a very male-dominated industry. She's done parties with Microsoft, Porsche, New York Fashion Weeks, all over the globe. I mean, from London to Kingston, Jamaica, she's been there. So it's a wonderful opportunity to have her here as one of the influencers, not just here in Atlanta, but also around the world. I also invited DJ Sense. He's not only here on the radio on Hot 107.9, but he's also on the radio on Sirius Satellite. So you can hear him on Fridays all around the world. He breaks all the records. I mean, not only does he break records, but he also has his own records. He has a record right now with Monica, Young Jeezy, I believe Young Yo Gotti's on there. He has pretty much relationships all around the industry, and he's very influential. Not only does he do music, but he's also an entrepreneur, being that he's a part of the Academy and one of the general managers for that company. So he's definitely a leader in the community. I also invited Michelle Brown, who's from Straight From the A. Not only is she from Straight From the A, but she's also the owner of Straight From the A, which, and she's very, very humble about it, but she garners about 1 million unique viewers a month. So she's pretty influential, I would say. So I invited them out tonight to kind of talk about what they've got going on, things that matter to them, and what ideas they have for the future.
I can feel your rain when it cries. Gold lives inside of you. I love it when I'm in it. I love it when I'm in it.
Fresh, kind of lukewarm, tapenade olive salad to go on top of that. Now coming back down to the green salad, we took some fresh muscovy greens, spring mix, heirloom tomatoes, strawberries, feta cheese, caramelized pecans and almonds, and we made a cranberry tarragon vinaigrette to go on that. So that's something real nice, fresh. You could take a real nice piece of grilled salmon, lobster, or shrimp to put on top of that as well. And then we did a mushroom rice. We took some wild mushrooms, a little vegetable broth, a lot of garlic, some herbs, and we let that sit and soak in the rice. So I figured the rice and the lamb and chicken would be a good accompaniment. We also seared some lemon asparagus with a little balsamic glaze that we did. So we poached it, keep it nice and green, seared that asparagus. So you guys eat up. Hope you enjoy. Jen will introduce the rest of the show, and I appreciate you guys for coming out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Chef, so much. This is amazing. I just want to welcome everyone to Dinner with Friends. On behalf of Keenan, Cannon, myself, and Tori, this is just an amazing experience, and we want to welcome everyone. Thank you to Absolute Elix. Thank you so much, and cheers. Let's raise a glass.
All right.
Cheers to Dinner with Friends.
There we go. Friends. Gotta click the All right. We're gonna move on to the main course. We have people that are here in music, politics, culture, media. He doesn't say that he's in finance, but he does work for the bank though. He's in the marketing department, you know what I'm saying? But you know, the climate that we're living in right now, every other day somebody getting shot down by the police. You know, we're seeing, you know, corrupt politicians popping up everywhere. You know, it ain't new. But I want to know, like, should hip hop and politics have a better marriage? You know, we see, you know, folks demand, oh man, somebody got shot. We need another headed for self-destruction. I don't know about that. You know, I don't know if a song is going to, you know, solve everything. But, you know, do you guys think that, you know, hip hop and politics should have a better marriage?
I do. I mean, we use, a lot of the hip hop artists today who are vocal, who are, making a mark on CNN and CNBC and whoever else, Fox News, Killer Mike, whoever. And so you see these people, and they have a following, and people see them and don't know that they are as smart as they are. So I think it's a good thing to hear them speak on it, as opposed to, just creating a rap song. Anybody can write some lyrics and, make a mark that way. But when you see people actively in the community saying this is wrong, it's a good thing.
You have something to say?
I mean, I guess I'll piggyback on that artists themselves, I mean, it's creative. Them and their ability to talk about what's going on in the community, it's a different, I don't want to say audience than what it was, let's say 20 years ago, because there's so many outlets that basically anybody can go record something and then it release a YouTube video and then the masses see it and then it becomes something that's viral. So the same things that may be going on in different parts of the world where some kid gets killed that was wrongfully killed. 20 years ago we wouldn't have heard about it, but now anything that happens we hear about it. It's just a different form of activism. The same thing was going on in the 60s, it's just now it's more prevalent and you're more aware of it.
So since, we're around the same age, you're not going to throw the numbers out there.
I don't know about that, but okay.
We both remember a time where it's like, we could kind of expect somebody to say something about something and actually show their face, like nowadays they say it's not as prevalent. You can kind of disagree, just depends on what you're listening to. But as a guy that, runs a label, runs a studio, works with artists, get songs on the radio, where do you stand on?
I feel like artists and politics more now than ever needs a marriage, especially with what's going on socially. And I also feel like artists got to take more time within themselves to be leaders and really speak, because the most important influence right now is music and hip hop, and it was like you said 20 years ago. And I feel like definitely at this time, us as entrepreneurs, as leaders, somebody got to step up and somebody got to speak to the youth and to the culture, because that's the most influential. That's who's talking to these kids right now. All they know, that's how they get educated. It's through the music, through the videos. So somebody's gonna have to take a responsibility. Somebody's got to take responsibility.
So Howard, does that even make sense to a person like you? If somebody that has never rapped about saving anybody's life, does it even make sense to have that marriage?
I think there's some cognitive dissonance. I think it's going to be difficult to rap about killing somebody and then record a protest song about an officer killing a young unarmed black man. So yeah, I think there's some difficulty. But I do think there's some people and there's some young men and women stepping up and grabbing the mantle and leading on issues. I just think the difficulty, though, and I feel like Roger kind of mentioned this, it's so easy to be the soup du jour. Anything can happen. A guy can have a sex change, and it's all anyone talks about for 72 hours. And then we stop after we hit hour 73, and there's something else that we want to talk about. I think, to have a conversation about a movement, you've got to be more willing to make a commitment beyond the song, beyond the statement, beyond the protest, to say we have an agenda, we have our leaders, we have demands, and that's the only place where power really sort of acquiesces. As a lobbyist every day who works for Fortune 500 and Fortune 100 companies, it takes a lot of knocking on doors, coming back tomorrow, making threats, and showing your resolve before anything happens. And that's true for the smallest guys up to the biggest guy.
Now, Coach, you, and our folks know you from managing Young Jeezy during the time that he had the whole Trap or Die thing, which was borrowed from the Voter Die thing with Puff Daddy, which was, one of the last big efforts that we saw a hip-hop artist making into politics. You being a person that was around for that era, and now you actually see what a lot of artists are up to now. Do you think that kind of marriage makes sense, or that it can actually happen?
It makes a lot of sense, but it has to start with us, the guys and the women that's running the labels or running the industry. We have to start speaking up and setting a standard for them, because they have the kids, they have no leaders, right? They have no one to look up to. When we grew up, there were programs, there were leaders, there was people out there that spoke out against things, and we kind of followed that, but they have no one. And then the kids, they're the most they don't care. Like they're the most fearless kids ever, so they gonna go. You know what I'm saying? But if we don't step up and like set up programs and things for them to follow, then they're just gonna go with no leadership. You know what I mean? And then it's like with the internet, you said 72 hours. Like everything's happening so fast. You know, and it's like when I grew up. Even at the boys club, or even if there was like a program, a leadership program, we went to the program. Now everything's through the phone, through the internet, so they're not going anywhere. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's just everything's on the phone. Boom, 24 hours, it's the next thing. So if we don't step up and start setting the standard, then it's gonna be messed up for a minute.
Like, how do you find that fine line? Because, you know, somebody can easily say, well, bro, you mad at me, dog. What you got to say about that? You know what I'm saying? Like, where do you find the fine line between, you know, trying to make somebody say something?
I mean, it's just like as a kid, when my mother told me, hey, don't go around that corner, because you go around that corner, boy, you might get burnt. But I'm a kid, I'm like, you don't know me, man. I'm gonna go around that corner and I get burnt. They kids, man. You know what I'm saying? So all I can do is teach them as what I know, you know, but they gonna still do, you know what I'm saying? They still have to grow up, you know what I mean? So it's just gonna take time and work, you know what I mean? But I can't just, if I say, hey, don't do that, or don't talk about this, they like, man, this is all I know. This is what I see when I walk out. This is what my friends do. Then they, you know, they look lame. It's messed up. They look lame to their culture. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a time. It's gonna take some time for the change, but we could make a change. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I don't think that we have to like think of it like, oh, well, the rappers have to like write a positive, like, you know, anti-police ballad or some shit like that. Like we can think about it like when all this, especially like what's been happening in our recent like current climate as far as like police brutality. I've noticed like a lot of the younger rappers, especially here in Atlanta, like don't even speak on the stuff that's going on. And so I think just because social media is so important, like just even starting the conversation or acknowledging it is something that's really important, and like stating how they feel about it, because like the Migos might be like what little, you know, kids look up to. It might not be, you know, their church pastor these days. So the fact that like they're even starting the conversation, I think is important, you know?
This is like hip hop. And hip hop is about boasting and bragging. When Migos did that record, that's what was cool to them. That's what they looked up to.
Right.
Like I said, it takes time. Now they have their own clothing line, because we created this song that started this frenzy and didn't make 1 cent off of it. And we even reached out to Versace. They reached back to us and said, well, you know what? We'll open up the store, let you come in the store, but we'll give you a discount. But from this song, the urban community spent a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
A lot of money. So what we did, they got their own clothing line now. It's called Young Rich Nation. It drops, let me plug this, June 16th, 2015. It comes out, but you know, I had to, like I said, it takes time. I had to show them, they had to see. Now they're like, man, I'm not buying none of that stuff no more, because I got my own clothing line. This is all I'm gonna wear. This is what I'm branding, you know? All that time I was influencing these, you know, these kids to go do this. I could have been selling my own, you know? So now they get it. But it just takes time. You have to, like I said, you have to show them. It's like teaching. It's like if that was a class in school, you know, for these kids about entrepreneurship and branding, you know, you are a brand. It's not a song, you're the brand. You can sell the brand, you know? If that was a class, then I think we'd be much further, but you know, it's not. So it's going to take
now, Roger, you actually work in a sector where, you know, you are giving resources and finances to brands, corporate ones for the most part. You know, what do you think, you know, some of the brands, like something that Coach K runs or something on that level, can learn from a corporate brand when they're trying to get sponsorships and support and all that kind of stuff?
Well, I think it's two things. Going back to the artist for just a second, and sometimes where I think they are hesitant to get behind the cause is because the potential money that they may be losing by making a statement that may offend the brand. So yeah, I could come out and say I'm against this, but if it's a company that supports that, then they're checking out and they're not going to support you anymore, and therefore there's a check. So I think there's a hesitancy from them on that part. In terms of from generating and getting sponsorship money, I mean, it's
everybody's ears been up.
I mean, I wish there was this magic formula I could write down and say, yeah, you do X plus Y and you're going to get Z automatically. It's not that simple. I mean, it really depends on it. Is it a client of ours? Is this a client that's going to potentially if it's someone that's just getting started and we potentially can see a relationship long term with them, or is this something that's been a client for 15 years and we're doing this because it makes sense to make them happy so they remain a client of ours? Sometimes they're very reactionary. So obviously there are lots of financial institutions in the country and all of them are trying to get these higher net worth clients. So sometimes you have to do things to make them happy. So it's a balancing act. And obviously the more money you have to spend on a sponsorship, the more difficult that balancing act is.
Dinner with Friends to me is about just progressive, forward-thinking people getting a creative space and over food. If you break bread with people, they're forced to let their guard down. You let your guard down, who knows what could come of that conversation. And in that conversation, who knows how we can come together and change the world. We all have resources, but if we bring them together, that's when things start to happen. And that's what Dinner with Friends is about. I'm just glad to be here.